when he's with Mitch.
Yeah. Here's the other part of it too. He needs 10 goals to match what he had all season last year. And we're, again, 40 games in the season for him. So at the halfway mark, he's already far surpassed what he did there. And so, yeah, I love the attitude. I love the approach. I'm not surprised, I guess, by the mentality stuff that you're talking about there. But, yeah, for someone who's, how old is he now, 34? Yeah, I think he's 34.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, for someone who's
he's doing
34.
it more 5-on-5 than power play. Like,
yeah.
He's getting accused of being a power play merchant. He's doing it 5-on-5 this year.
Yeah, no, he's been solid 5-on-5. I haven't seen the power play merchant stuff. But yeah, that's my biggest surprise. Okay, biggest disappointment time.
Biggest disappointment? To me, it's the secondary scoring, the offense in general. Whether it's 5-on-5 or power play. You look at that talent. How is this not a top 5 or at least top 10 power play in the league?
Yeah.
So they're middle of the pack power play. That's a massive disappointment. And then 5-on-5 scoring isn't that great either. And this, despite Marner being on pace for a career year in points, Nylander, despite his recent dip, being on a career year for goals, Austin Matthews being over point a game whenever he's healthy, Tavares we just talked about, he's exceeding expectations. So all the guys you hope to deliver are delivering, and yet you're a mediocre offensive team. So what's the problem? Max Domi has picked it up lately, but he got off to a horrid start offensively. Nick Robertson, lots of hype over the camp again, but just hasn't lived up to his own expectations. Can't blame Matthew Nice. He's taken a giant step. He's been fantastic, but I don't know. They lost Bertuzzi. They've had injuries. Pacioretty's been out for a while, but they're getting hardly anything from the blue line up until this weekend.
Yep.
They just don't have a second wave, and you're still just depending on the 4 guys basically for all your offense.
Yeah,
you'd like to think the power play is going to pick up though in the second half.
But how many times have we said that?
Yeah.
That's the thing that is and again, they've had regular seasons where they've been far better than what they've shown so far this year, right? Like they finished top 5 on power play percentage in seasons past, and then it's dried up come postseason time. So you're a little bit more forgiving of that. But it still weirdly has always felt that despite this collection of talent, despite these guys all having worked well together, 5-on-5 from a scoring chances and scoring ability, the power play just gets stuck in mud sometimes with these guys. Like this collection of 5 guys, for whatever reason, despite all the talent in the world, just can't seem to click consistently on that power play. Or they just can't go without their large lulls of us talking about what exactly it is. And they've tried, Mark Savard's tried to be creative in terms of putting different guys out there, and they've capitulated to William Nylander in terms of trying to get him more ice time and leave him out there for extra stuff. And yeah, I know they didn't have Matthews, but that's when the power play was also at its best this season. So it's hard to make that.
A head scratcher.
Yeah, it's hard to make it as a big excuse for it. But yeah, I'm with you. That the power play's 18th, man. It's almost like it's right beside the Calgary Flames and the Nashville Predators, who are not exactly the envy of the NHL right now. So yeah, I think that's got to be a big second half improvement. I think that one gets a little bit more grace just from the standpoint of what you said, which is you always rely on the idea that, okay, at some point they're going to heat up, they're going to get hot, and how much of this is snake bit versus anything. And I don't know. It's a tougher one to suss out. Mine is I'm going to go with one player directly, and that's Nick Robertson. It's not this seems really harsh because you're going like, really? The guy who was a fringe roster player is your biggest disappointment? Yeah, but simply because it was like, the smoke of the offseason, the discussion of like, hey, he's going to get traded, the whole, second start, second chance, the running out there yet again of this player. And for what exactly? For 6 goals over 34 games, a guy who still struggles to stay on his feet, a guy who the other night was basically benched, had a shift skip by Craig Berube in a game that has kind of been a hallmark for his success in years past, which is like a back-to-back against Philly. Not exactly the most stout team when it comes to keeping the puck out of their net. I haven't seen anything really about this guy's progression. I've just seen basically the same old thing. And at this point, like, again, the argument has remained the same, which is, well, he makes $800K, so what are you going to do? And I'm like, all right, well, eventually that just can't be good enough for a team, and I just don't think it's good enough for the Leafs. And I think all of the pressure that was coming into this year and all the eyeballs that were on him and my belief after the preseason, so maybe I'm disappointed myself for believing there was going to be a step after yet another hot preseason, because I've done this twice now. The fact that he was compared to Max Pacioretty in terms of who would be more valuable by me, I got to at least weigh that into this decision. And so for me, it's him. It's the goal scorer who doesn't score.
It's hard for me to see him in the lineup in game one, just because of
impossible.
Who is the coach, his size. He's been in and out, even when some games when the Leafs have been very unhealthy and they have call-ups up and they've played over him at times. I think Bruba's liked the combination of McMahon, Domi, and Robertson, but I think really he's like the combination of McMahon and Domi most of all. And Robertson, some more scratches are coming his way. The whole thing to me seems like an ill fit. And it's not that he's not an NHL player. I just think eventually he's going to be wearing a different sweater.
Yeah. I actually hope for his sake that it does happen this season, because I really do believe that if I was him, I'd be exhausted with this at this point. And I'd be trying to just recalibrate to thinking I need a fresh start somewhere else where there isn't a perception of me, where I can go in without any pressure and just go play. Because, yeah, it's just not working here, man. And if even with that line that has shown some flashes as of late and where he was able to accumulate a bunch of his 6 goals, they've been getting caved in 5-on-5 lately. I think the last 4 or 5 games, it's been a extremely ugly picture for them. By far the worst on the team than any other line. Okay, let's move on. McCabe gets a puck to the head, misses what, 9 days, 10 days more?
11.
11.
Yeah, 10, 11, yeah.
Okay, so he takes a puck to the head, and seemingly at the time it was like, oh, it's not a big deal, but then the Leafs did their day-to-day thing, and he missed 11 days, and you're like, oh, that's probably not a good one. Now, I think he gets the concussion from hitting his head off the ice, and they haven't said concussion. They're saying upper body injury, but we all know what it is. We saw him take a concussion.
Yeah, it was. You know what? When you
Scary.
see it in person, it makes you sick to your stomach too. Like when you're in the building, you see a guy try to get up and fall like
Awful.
that. Like,
no, truly awful. It's one of the only things about sports that I can't stand is seeing the injuries, and especially the ones with the head, because they're harder to prognosticate. They're harder to project in terms of when you're going to be right. They've got the long-term consequences that are scary for people. But
Leafs all in on center hunt. Treliving's bold moves could shape Toronto's future. As a die-hard Toronto Maple Leaf supporter, it's hard not to get excited about the latest trade buzz surrounding the team. Brad Treliving, the Leafs general manager, appears poised to make some daring moves to strengthen the squad's depth down the middle. The whispers of significant trades are growing louder, and Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet has added fuel to the fire with his recent revelations. The situation has become even more pressing as the Leafs grapple with the ongoing upper body injury to team captain Austin Matthews. Matthews has already missed the last 4 games, and while the team is doing its best to stay afloat, the need for reinforcements at center is undeniable. Treliving, it seems, is ready to part with valuable assets to address this glaring need. The center's on Treliving's radar. Names like Jake Evans from the Montreal Canadiens, Brock Nelson from the New York Islanders, and the Philadelphia Flyers' Morgan Frost have been mentioned as potential targets. These players bring a mix of experience and skill, each offering something unique to the Leafs lineup. But, as Friedman highlighted during his appearance on the Fan 590's The Fan Hockey Show, the price tags for these players vary significantly. That's the number one thing he's, Treliving, been looking at all season, Friedman noted, emphasizing the GM's focus on finding the right fit at center. This isn't just about plugging a hole, it's about finding a player who can elevate the team to new heights. Priorities in focus. While some fans might argue that the Leafs need help on defense, Friedman suggested that Treliving's primary focus is elsewhere. They did a lot of their work in the off-season. I think now there's a question if they need to go find someone to play with Morgan Reilly, he explained. But, it's not their number one priority. I believe their number one thing all season has been, let's find another center. This clear focus on center depth speaks volumes about Treliving's strategy. The Leafs are willing to pay a hefty price, but there's a caveat: the player must come with term. Why term matters? The preference for term isn't just a strategic move, it's a sign that Treliving is thinking long-term. Rentals can be tempting, especially for a team looking to make a deep playoff run, but they often come with risks. One of the things I've heard is that if they're going to spend assets on a center, they would prefer it to be someone with term, Friedman revealed. This approach ensures that any trade made benefits the Leafs beyond the immediate future. Internal struggles and potential fits. Internally, the Leafs have tried to find solutions. Fraser Minton showed promise earlier this season, but the organization prefers to let him develop further with the Marlies. Meanwhile, the Leafs' current lineup has struggled to maintain its depth in Matthews' absence. One intriguing option could be Vincent Trocheck from the New York Rangers. With the Rangers facing their own challenges, could they be persuaded to part with a player like Trocheck, who already has chemistry with Leaf stars from last year's All-Star game? The road ahead. As the calendar flips to 2025, the trade deadline looms larger. Treliving's actions in the coming months will undoubtedly shape the Leafs' playoff aspirations and potentially their long-term future. For Leafs fans, the anticipation is palpable. Every move, every rumor, and every game feels like a piece of the puzzle. Treliving's willingness to swing for the fences shows a commitment to bringing a championship to Toronto, a dream that has eluded the franchise for far too long. Why this matters? This isn't just another season. This is a chance for the Leafs to solidify their identity as a contender. With Matthews expected to return and the possibility of a major trade to bolster the lineup, the team is poised to make a statement. Treliving's boldness, combined with the team's potential, makes it an exhilarating time to be a Leafs fan. Whether it's Evans, Nelson, Frost, or another unexpected addition, one thing is clear: the Leafs are in it to win it.
So, buckle up, Leafs Nation.
The journey ahead promises to be as thrilling as it is unpredictable. Treliving's moves could define the legacy of this team, and, hopefully, end the championship drought that has haunted Toronto for decades. The weight of expectations. The Leafs are no strangers to the pressure of the spotlight. Toronto is a hockey city, and the Maple Leafs are its beating heart. Every move made by management is scrutinized, every decision debated endlessly by fans and analysts alike. Treliving stepped into a challenging role when he took over as GM, and his willingness to take bold steps shows he understands the weight of these expectations. What makes this moment particularly critical is the team's current window of contention. With stars like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander in their